Hey, what's poppin' guys, Sizzyl here, and I can still remember when I first got Super Mario Galaxy. Sometime in either 2008 or 2009 at Christmas, I opened it in a wrapped gift under the tree, and I wanted to get to playing it right away just because of how much I loved all the Wii games I played before. I had no way of knowing what I was about to experience, but on the first day of receiving this game, I was hooked. I played for around 8 to 10 hours straight in the living room, and experienced one of the greatest games I've ever experienced at the time, and that is Super Mario Galaxy. That is what many people experienced as a kid from 2008 to 2010. Super Mario Galaxy was released all the way back in 2007 and blew the minds of people all around the globe. The last 3D game prior to Mario Galaxy was Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube all the way back in 2002, which had mainly mixed receptions, unlike the overwhelming positive reception that both Galaxy had and its true predecessor in most people's eyes, which is Super Mario 64, which came out all the way back in 1996. Now, as I've been saying, almost everyone who has played Mario Galaxy has enjoyed the game a lot, to the point that it had 12.8 million sales, which when compared to Mario Kart Wii's 37.2 million sales is extremely impressive, considering that Mario Kart Wii came included with like everyone's Nintendo Wii, in America at least. Now, if you've never played Mario Galaxy before, you're probably wondering what about this game was so good. And honestly, that's not an easy question to answer, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. First off, this game was a technical masterpiece for its time. Not only were the graphics some of the best graphics ever seen on a Nintendo game at the time, the sheer quantity of levels, high poly models, and the length of all those levels was also insane for the time, and even now hasn't been replicated by that many games. It also had a very complex gravity and planet system that people still don't really understand entirely even today. On top of being a technical masterpiece at the time, it also had a ton of variety between the many different galaxies that you explore throughout the game. However, before I go into what makes each level so good, I'm gonna quickly explain the many different power-ups in this game. In total, there were 8 power-ups in the game, many of which had never been seen before in any other Mario game. First off, there's the Boo Mushroom, which lets you turn into a Boo to go through some chained walls and fly around, mainly Luigi's Mansion type levels all throughout the game. Then there's the classic Fire Flower, which lets you simply shoot fireballs like in every 2D Mario game ever. And then there's the Ice Flower, which in this game was a bit more special than most of the 2D games to follow, which allowed Mario to walk on water and lava for some reason, with ice paths that would spawn under his feet, kind of like the Frostwalker enchant from Minecraft, which Mario could then ice skate on to travel really fast, along with simply throwing ice balls to freeze enemies around the game like he does in most of the 2D games. And there's one really cool galaxy where you can use the Ice Flower to climb flowing waterfalls to get a star, which is extremely memorable in a first time playthrough, and I can remember it pretty well even to this day. There's also the Spring Shroom, which turns Mario into a spring, giving him a lot of height, but it's extremely hard to control, and you often bounce off walls and just about anything, which can catapult you into the void, which led to many deaths as both a kid and replaying it recently. There's also the Bee Shroom, which turns Mario into a bee, allowing him to scale large honey walls and float around stages, as long as he doesn't touch the water, which allows for a lot of cool parkour throughout the stages where you basically avoid water while traversing through a level in order to keep your bee powers and go further in the level. Finally, there's the classic Rainbow Star, which just like the 2D games accelerates Mario's running speed while making him completely invincible, which is often given to you with hordes of enemies nearby to slaughter mercilessly with your invincibility, which is honestly really satisfying. The technical 8th power-up is the Red Star, which lets Mario fly into the air, kind of like the wing cap in Super Mario 64. The reason I say this is only kind of a power-up and not really a power-up is because it's only given to the player in the post-game, and it lets them fly around the main hub, known as the Star Observatory. Speaking of which, the Star Observatory is one of the coolest hubs I've personally ever seen in a video game. Basically, there's a bunch of little huts, or domes as the game calls them, which you can enter to then travel to the many galaxies that lay inside, which are often themed around the many different domes, being the terrace, the fountain, the kitchen, the bedroom, the engine room, and the garden, which all have very distinct themes to them that you can probably assume from their designs alone. All of this was done on a cool floating central hub for the galaxy, operated by Rosalina, with a bunch of floating teleport pad thingies and lumas all around the ship, which really brought together the whole space-based aesthetic. Anyway, the main reason this game is so good is just the sheer quantity of extremely unique galaxies, stars, and enemies. There was a total of 74 enemies, excluding the 16 bosses found throughout the game, being Dino Piranha, King Caliente, Stinkbug Parent, Bugaboom, Megaleg, Camilla, Tarantox, Top Maniac, Bowser, Bouldergeist, Bowser Jr., Major Burrow, Baron Burr, Undergrunt Gunner, Kingfin, and Fiery Dino Piranha. Within the list of enemies, there was also a couple returning ones, such as the Goombas, Micro Goombas, Spinies, Piranha Plants, Chain Chomps, and the Koopa Troopas, along with a ton of new additions, such as the Thwomp's long-lost brother, the Bomp, who just pushes you off the stage rather than stomping you, Lil Burr and Cinder, which were balls of ice and fire that chase you down, Mandabugs, which fly toward you and try to snap you with their pincers, Octoguys and Octogoombas, who shoot projectiles at you from a distance, the well-known cosmic clones of Cosmic Mario and Luigi, who copy your every move, and of course, Twister, who launches you into the air and is honestly more of an ally than an enemy. All of those enemies, bosses, and a bunch of unique concepts were combined together to make some extremely cool galaxies, such as the Freezeflame Galaxy, which I can vividly remember playing at one of my friends' houses and being amazed with the really cool dynamic of fire versus ice all throughout the stage, and the use of the Ice Fire to skate on water and lava, which allowed for a very memorable fight against King Burr, which we had problems handling as a kid. There's also the classic Honeyhive Galaxy, which is commonly remembered by mistake as the first galaxy, as is the first larger scale galaxy on your journey, which is a whole galaxy based around the beach room and the many water obstacles that I talked about earlier. You also do one of the Silver Star missions in order to help Queen Bee, which is the Queen of the Honeyhive Galaxy, which happens a good amount throughout this game, where you basically collect 5 mini stars that combine into a final power star for you to collect at the end of whatever mission you're doing. There's also a lot of very specific galaxies where you do very unique missions that aren't simply reaching the end of the level, such as surfing on a manta ray to speedrun a water course in both the Loop-de-Loop and Loop-de-Swoop galaxies, the Spooky Speedster, where you race a Boo using pull stars, which are another addition to this game that are used to pull Mario toward them, as the name suggests, a race against a giant shark called Guppy using shells which help you race faster underwater, the Gemos missions, where you have a small amount of time to clean up a bunch of trash in order to get a power star, that are often found in fairly well hidden and hard to reach pipes throughout the many galaxies, and of course the Captain Toad missions, where you have to rescue Captain Toad from the danger he got himself into. I'm also surprised that many people didn't know this, but Captain Toad actually originated from the Galaxy games before starring in his own. However, among these many really fun and enjoyable ideas, there's 2 really horrible side modes that are honestly the only bad parts in this game, being the purple coin missions, where instead of the free exploration of most of the galaxies, you need to follow a very specific path and collect 100 or so coins all throughout a level, which are extremely tedious and allow for no player freedom, and the worst of all, the rolling ball stars. In concept, these stars aren't really that bad, as they're just rolling a ball through a level and getting to the end. But for some reason, the ball stars were used to show off the Wii Remote's gyroscope, so instead of the circle pad on the nunchuck for easy and precise controls, they were controlled by an extremely inaccurate set of motion controls. If that wasn't bad enough, these controls were often used for extremely precise platforming. and had ice physics for some reason, and had even bigger problems, mainly prevalent in Galaxy 2, which I'll discuss later in this video. Overall, however, this game had 42 galaxies with a ton of unique galaxies and missions that, unlike Super Mario Odyssey, aren't simply tossed into one level, but are mainly given their own specific levels even within each galaxy just to collect one of the 120 total power stars that this game offers. Within those 120 stars were also prankster comets, which are basically challenge versions of normal stars, such as the speedrun comet, where you have to complete a level or boss fight within a certain time limit, or the Daredevil comet, which is the same, but instead of having to do it fast, you have to do it without taking any damage. And for the first time ever, there were green stars in Mario, which were basically extremely well hidden stars that were hidden within a handful of galaxies that you had to search every nook and cranny to find, and were often surprisingly hard to get to. Now, as much as I'd like to get more into each and every galaxy this game had to offer, for the sake of time, I'll leave the discussion of the specifics of each and every galaxy at that, and continue on to the boss fights found within them. Now, unlike many other games, including the Mario games such as Mario 64, the bosses weren't just one reused or extremely similar asset, and they were each their very own unique and individual boss fights. For example, the Mega Leg fight has you climbing a giant mechanical robot, almost like you're in Attack on Titan, and blowing up its head with a bullet bill launcher found throughout its body in order to collect the Power Star, and the Bouldergeist boss battle has you lassoing these black boos into a dark creature made of rocks in order to destroy it and get your Power Star. Each of these boss fights were very memorable in their own right, and none of them other than Bowser and the Undergrunt were really reused, other than in Daredevil runs of a few of the boss fights, which were honestly really fun in their own right, as doing a run with no hits can be extremely challenging. Overall, all of these boss fights were really fun and memorable. On top of all the really great things this game had to offer, it also had a really clean UI, which allowed you to focus on the main actions of the game, since all the UI that stays on screen is either related to the controls or the health bar, which only appears when you're on low health and is very non-intrusive, as you can see on screen. What made it even better was that this game found a way to make motion controls work. By using the nunchuck for player movement and the Wii Remote for button presses and the pointer functions, this game has surprisingly tight controls that make it even better, along with a new spin move that help make platforming a bit easier for the times you mess up. What makes it even better is this game brought back most of the best Mario maneuvers ever, such as the long jump, triple jump, backflip, and more. All of these great aspects are then amplified with some of the best Nintendo music ever. If you look at any random given YouTube video and their background music isn't just the Wii menu or Wii Shop theme, there's an extremely high chance that the background music will be from Galaxy 1 or 2, because they have some of the best soundtracks of all time. There's both extremely chill and extremely hype songs found all throughout this game, which all suit their location perfectly, along with some pretty solid sound effects to go with them, such as the classic for his various types of jumps. In terms of my favorite Mario Galaxy 1 tracks, they'd probably be the Observation Dome, Battle Rock Galaxy, Honeyhive Galaxy, and the Galaxy Reactor, but similar to Pokemon Emerald, almost all the songs in Galaxy 1 are on my personal music playlist. Overall, this game was extremely good for its time. It easily holds up today, and it even has a slight control improvement with it being re-released in Super Mario 3D All-Stars for the Switch. I would definitely say this game is worth your time, and a definitive upgrade to even modern 3D Mario games such as the well-loved release of Super Mario Odyssey. However, the one biggest flaw this game has is that it doesn't have a lot of instant replayability, which I honestly can't really explain much other than the second playthrough not being able to live up to the experience you have with your first playthrough. Overall, I'd probably have to give this game a 93.5, leaning toward a 93 out of 100. With that being said, there's also a second installment in the Mario Galaxy franchise. Now, knowing just how excited I was by the release of Super Mario Galaxy 1, you can imagine my excitement when Super Mario Galaxy 2 was released in 2010. It's insane just how excited I was to play this game, and luckily it was just as good, if not better, than the original. See, what Nintendo did for Mario Galaxy 2 was simply use all the assets in the main game and add a bunch of more galaxies and power-ups to the game. In particular, it added the Cloud Flower, Rock Mushroom, and Spin Drill, along with by far the most notable and well-loved addition, Yoshi. The Rock Mushroom basically turns you into a bowling ball, and had a few pretty fun missions, although I mainly remember the one that was literally just a bowling course, which was called the Chimps Bowling Challenge, found in the Melty Monster Galaxy. The spin drill did exactly what it sounds like it would do, and when you used Mario's spin move, returning from Mario Galaxy 1, it allowed Mario to drill through the planet he's on, which was actually pretty fun to use in the galaxies it was available in. By far the coolest power-up addition was the Cloud Flower, which allowed Mario to make 3 platforms whenever and wherever he wants, which allowed you to explore the galaxies a lot more. But similar to the Beach Room, it got deleted if you touched any form of water. However, the addition of Yoshi was by far the coolest thing they added to this game. When riding Yoshi, you were able to jump a bit higher, you get the flutter jump, you can use his tongue to eat enemies and swing off floating flowers, which made it a lot more fun to traverse the galaxies. And on top of just his base powers, he also got a ton of unique power-ups, being the Dash Pepper, which made Yoshi run at crazy speeds and even run up walls, the Bold Berry, which allowed Yoshi to see invisible platforms that could help him traverse stages built around that mechanic that were really cool, the Blimp Fruit, which is similar to the Mario P balloon, which basically turns Yoshi into a balloon that gets sent upward slowly until it runs out of gas, and Yoshi also had the ability to fling enemies such as Koopas, Lakitu, and the like at other enemies, which allowed for the cool boss fight against the Mega Lakitu, along with a lot of fun traversing the many galaxies Yoshi was allowed in. This game also made changes to the main hub. Rather than the cool hub in the original Mario Galaxy, you piloted a giant Mario head which you could explore for free 1-ups and a couple cool features that then traveled around a more classic Mario map found in many of the 2D Mario games, such as Mario World and New Super Mario DS. Overall, I think this looked a lot less cool than the original hub, but it's definitely better for viewing all the galaxies you have and what's to come. On top of all these new additions and minor changes, this game added a ton of bosses to this game while retaining many of the originals. This game added the Diga Leg boss, which is a smaller version of Mega Leg, King Lakito, which is the Mega Lakitu we showed before, Gobblegut, which is Bowser Jr.'s personal pet, Rolodillo, which is an armadillo that rolls around like the new rock mushroom does, Sorbetti, which I honestly can't remember but is a snowman boss, Mega Hammer, which is one of Bowser Jr.'s creations, Glamdozer, which is a giant bug, Squizzard, which is a boss fight where you have to fight a sand monster who fires projectiles at you while sucking you into the middle of a giant quicksand pit, Prince Picante, the new boss of the Freezeflame Galaxy and leader of the Octogoombas, the Boomstay Machine, which is Bowser Jr.'s ultimate creation, the Womp King, which is the Womp that returns from Mario 64 in one of the many retro courses found in the game, a version of Gobblegut who's fiery, and the return of many of the classics like Dino Piranha, Bouldergeist, King Caliente, Bowser, and Major Burrows. On top of the many new bosses, changes, and all of that, this game also added more enemies on top of most of the original enemies returning to this game. Some of the additions were Diga, which is used on most of the drill stages, Elite Octoombas, which are basically faster versions of Octogoombas, Flap Tacks, which try diving onto you, another relative of the Thwomp known as the Flomp, which is a flipping platform that tries to fling you off it, the Magmaws and the Magmargs, which are lava creatures who try to eat you, Mattermouth, who eats parts of the stage and is invincible, Octoboo, which is a boo combined with an Octoomba, Snoodles, which are the main enemies of the water levels that are defeated by light sources coming off of the shells, and yet another Thwomp relative called the Romp, which is basically a cylinder that tries to flatten. With all of this new content, you'd think there'd be a lot of new galaxies to go with it, and you'd be right. There were tons of new galaxies to the point that with 0 returning galaxies from Galaxy 1, there were 120 power stars, 120 green stars, and 2 stars found in the game's final level called the Grandmaster Galaxy, which is often referred to as one of, if not the hardest levels in the 3D Mario games as a whole. Something to mention is that while the original game had green stars, there was only 3 of them, so they weren't really all that abundant. Meanwhile, in Galaxy 2, almost every galaxy had 1 to 3 green stars hidden in parts of the level that are very hard to spot and access, which are some of the main things I remember about this game, besides the use of Yoshi. They're seriously a lot of fun, and part of why I prefer the sequel to the original. Furthermore, there's also a few extra bonus game modes, along with the removal of some of the original ones, like the ray riding mission. Instead of the ray, however, there's a few missions where you can control a bird, kind of like you control a Minecraft Elytra, and fly through some of the levels trying to beat them as fast as possible. There's also the chimp missions, where you defeat enemies or get collectibles within a very short time limit for a star, but unfortunately both the purple coin and the rolling ball missions return with next to no change, and are even made worse by the fact that there's one level in this game where for some reason they combined both the purple coin and the rolling ball into one stage, which is honestly probably the least fun Mario Galaxy star ever made, which is the purple coin mission in the Rolling Coaster Galaxy. Like I stated in Galaxy 1, these 2 side modes are the only real complaints I have about these games, as all of their modes, visuals, and mechanics are really great in their own way. At the end of the day, none of that matters if the galaxies aren't super well designed, which luckily they are. My favorite galaxies would have to be the Cloudy Court Galaxy, where the Cloud Flower was introduced and used a ton, the Throwback Galaxy, which is literally Mario 64's classic Whomp's Fortress, ported in the Super Mario Galaxy style, the Hightail Falls Galaxy, which is the best of all the many Yoshi power-up galaxies found throughout the game, where you use a dash pepper to run sideways and up walls, all throughout the galaxy, and it's surprisingly challenging and equally fun. And of course, the Grandmaster Galaxy, which is a culmination of every Super Mario Galaxy level in one, and whenever you die, you're sent all the way back to the start of the level, which also has its own Daredevil Comet, which is the star I remember not only grinding, but having the most fun with as a kid. This game also improved the many boss galaxies a ton by making each of them a lot longer and making each section of the level feature different kinds of content rather than all being one type of content and design throughout the whole level like they did in the original. One of the other cool things done this game was that it had a ton of throwback galaxies. The aforementioned Throwback Galaxy, of course, being a throwback to Whomp's Fortress from Mario 64, the Twisty Trials Galaxy, which is based off the Secret of Rico Tower from Rico Harbor in Mario Sunshine, Supermassive Galaxy, which is inspired by Big Island from Super Mario Bros. 3, Tall Trunk Big Slide, which is loosely inspired by Princess's Secret Slide from Mario 64, and many of the other levels seem to also be continuations and or additions to some of the galaxies found in the original Mario Galaxy 1. This game's galaxies are good across the board, but yet again, if I had to go into more detail, this video would be far too long, much longer than it already is. Along with generally improving everything in Galaxy 1 across the board, this game also had a ton of its own musical masterpieces that, like the original game, have been used in background music in like 99% of YouTube videos. In this game, my favorites are the Yoshi Star Galaxy theme, which honestly does a great job representing the whole aesthetic of Mario Galaxy 2, even though yet again I can't really explain why, the Overture theme, Dig-a-Legs theme, Cosmic Cove Galaxy, and Starshine Beach Galaxy. That being said, if I had to pick which game had better music, I'd have a really hard time deciding, since both games have a similar style of music and have bangers across the board. In all honesty, I could never really pick which one had the better OST, since they're both so goddamn amazing. All in all, this game was generally just a large improvement from the original, with the additions of tons of bosses, enemies, power-ups, and Yoshi. It was honestly just a straight upgrade other than maybe the new map selection screen, which I think barely takes anything away from this game. And even though this game was a decent improvement over an already insanely good game, it suffers the same weird replayability issue that I can't really explain as the original had. But personally, I'd still have to give this game a 95 out of 100. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review as much as I enjoyed replaying this game, and if you did enjoy this and want to see more content like it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and join my Discord server. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.